Hello everybody, this is Mr. Steele, and I'm going to go ahead and begin the standard quiz tutoring video series here. And I'm going to begin with Algebra 2 standard number 1 from terms 1 and 2, evaluating functions. Now this standard is not a very difficult one. It's number 1 for a reason, hopefully to get people started off right. But at the same time, if you haven't seen the function notation before a whole lot, it might be something that might throw you for a curve, and you might just kind of need to see a couple examples to get it ready. Basically, I've got kind of the problem written out here. So we are going to evaluate f of negative 3 for f of x equal negative x squared plus 5x plus 20. And basically, really what this is saying is this is just telling us to plug something in. Specifically, this is just telling us that we're going to plug something in. So in particular, this is really instructing us to plug in for x the value negative 3. So we're just going to substitute in negative 3. Like, this really is just a substitution problem. So what that looks like, well, it would just be basically going into our expression. So no longer are we going to be playing with f of x, we're now going to be playing with f of negative 3. So wherever we see an x, we're going to replace it with negative 3. So we had negative x squared, not anymore, we don't. Negative 3, or negative 3 squared, plus 5 times, well, not x anymore, it's going to be negative 3, all plus 20. So in fact, it's just kind of like we're saying, okay, x is negative 3, so what happens? Well, from here it just becomes an exercise in order of operations, knowing what you're supposed to do. In this case, we'll deal with the exponent first, so negative 3 squared is 9, so we'll have negative 9 minus 15 plus 20 as our final expression. Now we just need to simplify it a little more. Negative 9 minus 15 is going to be negative 24 plus 20 is going to equal negative 4. And so in fact, this is our answer, negative 4. If we wanted to make sure we included everything or set it as nicely as possible on here, we would say that, well, the value of the function f evaluated at negative 3 is negative 4. This would be like the most complete answer that we can possibly get here for these problems. So this is really the most, doable situation that we can get on this standard. Is we just got a number to plug in, so we substitute it in, we spit out another number, simplifying carefully. Okay, let's take a look at a second example here, slightly harder than the last one, only because we're going to throw in a variable expression a little bit here too. We're not just going to be evaluating f at, negative 3 like we did in the first one. We're going to actually be evaluating the function f at negative 2m. So what happens, as we said before, when we plug in negative 2 in, because that's all our directions really want. They want us to plug in for x negative 2m. So that's all we're going to do, is we're going to do that substitution. So let's do it. Alrighty, so let's get back to this. Let's see. So we had 5x cubed plus 10x minus 1. Well, now we're going to actually make that substitution. So f of negative 2m is going to be equal to 5 times x cubed, except it's not x anymore. We're going to say that's negative 2m cubed plus 10 times negative 2m, again replacing every x with negative 2m, all minus 1. And just like before, like we're at our final answer, we just have to, or we had an answer, it's just not simplified enough. So we need to go through and actually use the order of operations. So from here, parentheses first, well, negative 2m is already simplified, so next the exponents. So negative 2 to the third power will be negative 2 times negative 2 is 4, times negative 2 is negative 8, and m to the third is just m to the third, plus, just kidding, it's plus 10 times minus 2m, that'll be minus 20m, all minus 1, again no like terms yet to combine, may not be any. From here, multiplying, this will be negative 40 m to the third, minus 20m, minus 1, and notice each of these is its own term, so m to the third, m, and just constants. So in fact, we found our answer. The value of the function at negative 2m is negative 40m squared minus 20m minus 1. And so once again, didn't take long at all, we just had to be careful, make sure we used order operations correctly after substituting, and then kept everything together. So not bad. Let's maybe do one more. Okay, moving onward, let's look at an example that's a little more involved this time. This time we're going to look at another problem from Standard 1. We're going to this time evaluate f of x plus 2 when f of x is given to us as 3x squared plus 5x minus 2. So once again, as we read this, we probably want to think about what the instructions are really telling us, and this time they're not just telling us to plug in a number, they're saying plug in x plus 2 everywhere we see an x. So we're going to now substitute in an actual binomial expression and then simplify from there. So thinking about it for a moment, that means we've got to put an x plus 2 in here for this x and for this x. So let's do that. Okay, so to find f of x plus 2, we're going to go about that substituting right here. So what was 3x squared? No, we are going to replace x with x plus 2. So plus 5x, no, oh no you don't, x plus 2, we just said we substituted it, then minus 1, that just stays the same. So this is in fact going to be our answer. The problem is this thing's not simplified very far, and if we're going to do this work and substitute it in, obviously it's going to be an exercise in order operations as much as it is an exercise in just putting something in. So let's actually do that. And again, we're going to have to be careful to make sure we follow PEMDAS, if you will, or whatever the order of operations say. So in this case, starting it off, I'm going to need to deal with the exponent first. It goes parentheses and exponents, but of course inside the parentheses x plus 2 is already simplified. So first we'll keep this 3 out here, but we'll have to multiply out x plus 2 squared. Well, x plus 2 squared is just going to be multiplying a binomial. It will be, let's see, we can think of it, we'll just do that right here. X plus 2 times x plus 2. There are lots of different ways to do it. I'll do the FOIL method because I'm sitting here and I like doing it. X squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4. And again, there are lots of shortcuts to do this, but I'm choosing to kind of multiply it out, since maybe on a standard quiz you wouldn't remember exactly what to do. Either way, x plus 2 squared, not anymore. We now have x squared plus 4x plus 4. Over here, once again, we don't have to do as much work, but we do have to distribute it in. We'll get plus 5x plus 10, all minus 1. And now, once again, we're just going to have to keep simplifying. So I see some distributing here. 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times 4x is going to be plus 12x, and 3 times 4 is going to be just plus 12. We're still left with plus 5x, and then 10 minus 1 is plus 9. So our last step, just going to combine like terms. The only x squared term is right there, 3x squared. We've got a 12x and a 5x, both positive, so we'll have plus 17x. And then lastly, we have plus 12 plus 9. It's going to be plus 21. And of course, to write it out, that is really our answer. If we wanted to, we could write f of x plus 2. But in fact, this time I'll just kind of say, okay, nice complete answer from me. Final answer, value of the function f of x evaluated x plus 2 is in fact multiplied out 3x squared plus 17x plus 21. And that's pretty much as hard as the problems can get for standard number 1, where you have to actually substitute in binomial and do some work. So hopefully this has been beneficial, and standard 1 will not be a problem for you when you encounter it on every standard quiz. Thanks. And of course, as always, this is Mr. Steele signing off. Have a good night.